We're talking to Lisa from Motion Potion. Now, if the name didn't give it away, Motion Potion, we are discussing that taboo topic of poo. And look, as a mother in a house of boys, the subject of poo is a daily conversation. However, in this conversation, we're going to take that step back. We're going to put the poo jokes aside for the moment, and we're going to talk about Motion Potion, how it came about, and I guess the benefits of using this amazing product. So, Lisa, introducing yourself, talk to me about your product and how Motion Potion did come about.
Sure. Okay. Well, it's a bit of a long story, so I'll try and sort of simplify it a little. My husband, Mark, is the naturopath that formulated Motion Potion. When I met him, I was studying at Lismore Uni and also working in a health food store. And I had a massage therapy practice in the store as well. I've got a advanced health science diploma. And when we met, he was using Motion Potion, just mixing up really small amounts for his clientele, because he's always been a very, very gut health focused naturopath. He really believes and has seen so many times that the gut health is the foundation of every disease. So if that is not working, nothing else can work to full functionality without addressing that first. Back then we called it poo powder. It was a bit of a funny joke, and I ended up getting, myself on it, my entire family on it. Before I met Mark, and one of the big reasons why I studied naturopathy was I was a steroid-dependent asthmatic for 23 years, and I had psoriasis and eczema. I had irritable bowel syndrome. My skin was just absolutely shocking, and I had so many, inflammatory issues going on in my body, and I had no idea how to fix any of them. And the moment I met Mark, he was like, "Oh, we're going to get you sorted." And within 3 months of being with this guy, I never took another asthma drug ever again. And I was, a multiple times a day user. And for 20 years I was told it has nothing to do with your food, it has nothing to do, you can't change anything, go home, take your drugs or you might die. That was what I was told. And it was really scary, growing up with really severe asthma as a kid. There was a lot of stuff I missed out on, a lot of things I couldn't do. When I started studying nutrition, and I realised that all my favourite foods and, so much of what I did was just I was ambushing myself. My top 3 favourite foods were laden with MSG and sulfites, and I had no idea that it was setting my asthma off, and it was causing this, vicious cycle of inflammation and toxicity in my gut, and just making me, never coming out of this inflamed state. Once I had this massive shift in my health, I just was like, wow, we've got to do something with this stuff. And I was talking to the owner of the health food store where I worked, and she was like, hey, let's put it in the bulk bins in the store and let's just see how it goes. So Motion Potion was born, and we got picked up really early on by a really great Sydney national distributor. They're no longer around, but they were called Little Earth, and they were starting out at the same time as us, and it just grew really big, really fast. It was like the world just needed it. And we've always, there's such a stigma around digestion, and I think that things are really changing these days. But we've always tried really, really hard to sort of lighten the topic of poo, because everybody poos. If you don't, you've got to address that. Yeah. There's something seriously going on if you're not. But at the same time, Motion Potion is not just for constipation. It's a balancer. So we have people that use it for either end of the scope, whether it's constipation or diarrhea. We tell people with diarrhea to take much, much higher doses because it absorbs all the water and it slows your transit time right down. And people with constipation just need to take 1 teaspoon a day. And it just works beautifully. It's so gentle. It's really anti-inflammatory. It's got absolutely amazing probiotics in it that have been the beautiful Australian company that grows our probiotics has been doing this for more than 28 years, I think now. Yeah. And it's a colony. So it's really unique because, most of the time when you go to a health food store or a pharmacy, you get a probiotic that's maybe 2 strains, maybe a few more, and you get, billions per species. And Motion Potion has at least 15 species per strain, and each batch is slightly different because, in nature there is variances. There's no niche that can't take Motion Potion. We get people with every kind of bowel condition that you can imagine taking Motion Potion with fantastic results. We get pregnancy, constipation, which is just, people don't talk about that. You don't expect that during pregnancy, but oh my God, that is such a thing. I have women giving me in tears. Help me, I do. The elderly, because our elderly population, they really so frequently don't drink enough water, and they're quite inactive, and it's becoming a really, really huge problem of the elderly with fecal impaction. So yeah, elderly, pregnant women, toddlers with constipation. I hear people all the time saying, I had to take my toddler to emergency to, have enemas, which they hated, and it was horrible. Having a look before you flush is one of the best diagnostic tools we have to find out what's actually happening in our bodies. And I really recommend, if you've never seen the Bristol stool chart, look it up. But also have a look at, the recommendation is you should be moving your bowels 1 to 3 times a day, not once. So the AMA says once a day to once a week is regular. Yeah. Once a week is 20 meals that are just staying in there, and that's when you see these huge, huge big tummies on people that aren't overweight. It comes from overeating meat, overeating, processed grain, and sugar. We've done a doozy, really.
When people, whether they have complaints or they don't have complaints, they simply just want to have a supplement that's not only going to help their bowel movements but also to help their gut health. How long does it normally take to, have an effect?
Yeah, so I guess with everyone it's very different because it obviously depends on where people are at with their digestive system. If somebody has suffered really long-term constipation, we actually recommend that they take a herbal laxative initially at first for the first maybe 1 to 2 weeks whilst they're taking Motion Potion, because Motion Potion can clear out a lot of old nasty stuff. With Motion Potion, it's not dependency forming. You don't need to take it for the rest of your life, although you can. It's very gentle that you can. But people find that the longer they take it for, the less they actually need to use it, which is the way around it should be. We shouldn't be trying to hook people in for a lifetime of, consumption. And so I guess for people that are, just feeling a little bit like they're a little bit sensitive to certain foods and they get a little bit of an upset tummy sometimes, they might find that within the first 3 days of taking Motion Potion that they're just doing epic poos.
Tell me about the products. What have Motion Potion got in their range?
Yeah, so Motion Potion has got amazing, super, super fine psyllium husk powder. It's certified organic, and all the world's psyllium is grown in India, and we purchased from a beautiful company that is part of a movement bringing organic farming back into India, which is beautiful. If you haven't seen the documentary called One Man, One Cow, One Planet, you have to watch it. It's about Monsanto, what happened to the farming land in India, and how, that it was just so damaging, and how they're working to bring this beautiful, organic practice back into the Indian land, which is just such a lush, amazing environment. So we're really proud where all our ingredients come from. But that's one that I just dearly love. So we've got anti-inflammatory herbs, which are, your spearmint marshmallow root, and they form a really, really nice gel-like substance. And slippery elm actually has the capacity to coat areas of inflammation, so that, for people that have really severe food intolerances, or, have areas of ulcerated areas within their bowels, it actually can help protect that area from passing food and stools, so that it can actually have a chance to heal, which is so, so important, because, each time it's just getting kind of abraded. So those two ingredients are amazing. Wheatgrass and barleygrass are alkalizing. Your citrus bioflavonoids and your rose hips are really, really high vitamin C value, and they're also toning for your bowel and your capillaries, which is so important for things like hemorrhoids and all those slackening related conditions of the bowel. Ginger is an amazing enzyme for digestion, and your linseeds, which is just, amazing demulcent for the bowels. And then the probiotics blend, which, I mentioned, is just a very, very unique synergistic blend of bacteria. And you can have a look at the packaging of Motion Potion and actually see all the different species that are in there. And some of them, people are like, oh, I've never even heard of this one. What's this one? And, they're the really, really tiny guys that sort of never really get a mention. And one of them is actually Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is baker's yeast. And people think, oh, it's a yeast. I probably shouldn't have a yeast. But it's, all those guys are supposed to be in our systems, but they're supposed to be in the numbers that they are naturally, in a healthy environment. They would stay in very, very low numbers, and the other, like the Bacillus bacteria, would be very, very high. And so they still need to be in there. They still have a function. Motion Potion is our main product, actually. So we've got Motion Potion in 3 different forms. So you've got powder in 3 different sizes. You've also got our sachets, and we've just recently launched capsules as well. And capsules are amazing for, so we get women with morning sickness that just can't handle any texture whatsoever. So, stirring it up into juice or water and getting it down, because, psyllium does thicken, within the first minute or two. So you've got to get it in pretty quick before it gets thick. And so we launched the capsules for, kids are pretty good at swallowing capsules, over the age of 6 as well. So they're pretty great. But yeah, for women with morning sickness, and for the elderly that find it difficult to stir really vigorously into their glass. So that's, the main sort of people that we launched it for.
Lisa, a couple of questions I always ask our suppliers when they have an interview with me is, have you got a quote or a mantra that you live by?
One of our early slogans that we actually put on the first batch of Motion Potion labels was "Fluffy floaties, not stinky stinkies." Yeah, because it's so important to have a look and see what's going on. So that's probably my favourite that's come across over the last sort of 12 years of being in the market. But lately it's been break the poo taboo. We have and especially sort of 50 plus aged men just don't want to talk about it. Women seem to be a lot more open to discussing it and talking about their children's digestion and their parents, and bowel cancer is huge in Australia. It's the second biggest cancer killer, and so many people delay talking to a health professional about it because they're so embarrassed and they think, what are they going to do to me? But bowel cancer is one of the most treatable forms of cancer.
So what would be your number one health tip?
Wow. Mm. I'd have to say drink water. Number one. Like it's just so important. People don't realise that they're dehydrated hours before they feel physically thirsty in their mouth. You know, there's so many more dehydration signs way before your mouth dries out.
So one last question, Lisa. What does it mean for Motion Potion to be involved and on the platform of Yo Life?
I just love the fact that, you know, I really think that we're coming to an age where we need a lot more collaboration with other brands. You know, we're living so singularly all the time, and everyone seems to be struggling in their singularity. And in every form of the word, we need community now more than ever. And so I just really love the fact that we have an opportunity to come together with other brands and brands that you love and that you trust. And, you know, I think that that's really, really special